Now the auxiliary gate.
This is Paige West, wife of Ethan West, trainer of Kentucky Derby contender Chunk of Gold, and you're listening to the Jason Beam Horse Racing Podcast.
Paige, this is the Auxiliary Gate podcast.
Oh, man. Someone gave me some bad info.
Hello, we are live. It's episode number 247. Barely live, I guess you could say, but glad to be here on July the 15th, 2026. I'm CC Broaddus. Not that that matters. Alan Schneider is here. Welcome, big dog.
We're gonna when we get to 250, are we gonna turn it up like America did for our 250th? Is that what we're gonna do? It's gonna be like, jets overhead and fireworks and celebrations everywhere. Do we have that kind of budget to?
We're gonna do a parade. We're gonna have a fight. We're gonna have a big fight, like a UFC style octagon and it's gonna be TPT, Frank Miller, Trailer Park Trash versus Brandon Jaggers.
Oh, that is must-see TV right there.
Oh, yeah.
Eat your heart out, Washington, D.C. I think we might one up them.
Yeah, Brandon's been training. We're gonna build this octagon right in the middle of Churchill Downs.
And make him pay for it.
Yeah.
Make him pay for his own demise.
Yes. Also here, Geoff Riggs.
Yes, sir. Y'all got me excited about this, the 250th celebration. Can you just imagine how picturesque it's going to be with those fireworks going off in the background as TPT is just pounding Brandon's face in?
Just wailing on him and stuff.
I mean, that's things like movies are made out of.
We gotta do that. Will Netflix pick that up? Like they did for the home run derby, and then have it screw up for everybody and start buffering right before Brandon loses consciousness.
Yep.
Well, let's talk to some people about that.
Actually, should expand on it. We were talking for years about doing a battle royal with everybody, all of our guests, all together. I mean, it was going to be like Farron Peterson and
she'd be tough.
Who was the we never did get the jockey that she was an MMA fighter too. I can't remember her name.
Oh yeah. Chelsea Bailey.
Chelsea
Bailey. Yeah. See, I think if we had a men's division and a women's division, I think we could sell tickets.
Kalo be good at that. I think
Kalo is quick.
Yeah.
Really?
Quick on his feet, and he's a big dude. So I would not bet against him.
I think I could take him down.
Maybe like a
leg sweep.
I think next poker night we might just have to find out.
If I can get him down, that's where I can score.
There you go.
Mark that.
Is something to keep next poker night. We'll have to keep that in mind. Okay.
All right. Moving right along to the news of the day. They drew the Haskell Stakes on Tuesday. Further ado, assigned favoritism at 2-1. Napoleon Solo, the winner of the Preakness Stakes at Laurel, 5-2. You've got the Puma. Great race. Lost a little bit of luster when Crude Velocity defected. I'm not sure what the issue was there. I'll open the floor. Who do you like in this Saturday's Haskell Stakes?
Nothing shocking there. I think that's Further Ado's race to lose. I mean, it feels like that race is tailor-made for him. If I'm Brad Cox, I'd have picked that spot too. I didn't think he was overly flashy in the Matt win, but he did come back. He did beat Hard Money Man pretty squarely, and that horse kind of validated that effort with his tight finish in the Indiana Derby. I just think that race is tailor-made for Further Ado's style. If he doesn't get the lead, he'll sit just off. And the way the Haskell is, and I've heard people say this, and I agree with it, the Haskell, it's a mile and an eighth, but it kind of plays like a shorter race. And if that's the case, I think that's right up Further Ado's alley. Well, some question marks about the Puma, right? Oselli's in there, and Oselli could run another good one, but not a fun betting race for me because I anticipate Further Ado being in that 6-5 range, and I like him to win.
Yeah, I agree. I think the morning line's pretty dead on in here. I think Further Ado might be a little lower than 2-1, but I know on these kind of morning lines they don't want to be overly aggressive on it just because it throws off the points and everything. But uh, I think it. I agree with you, Alan. I think with everything you said, it's his race to lose for all the reasons you said. He's one of those horses I've been
Yeah.
trying to find ways to play against all year, and it keeps backfiring on me outside of the Derby. So I'm on him. I think it's a fantastic spot for him. I think this is going to be in a great spot. You did mention O'Sully just for a second. You know, I've always loved that horse, and I still love that horse. So just watch out for the richest maiden of all time. We'll be picking up pieces late. So just something that you can maybe spice up those exotics a little bit if you're taking the favorite on top.
Yeah, and I would add real quick that I like Further Ado in the Derby. I know CC did too. And it's not sour grapes. He had a lot of horses had rough trips. He had a legit rough trip. I don't
Hmm.
want to say start to finish. He was eliminated kind of early on in that race. And then there were some issues throughout the race that I thought played against him and stuff. So it is to me, it's the ultimate toss out race. So he got back on track in the Matt win. And the Haskell is a great spot for him, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I don't hold the Derby against him at all. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that bluegrass effort was a little harder on him than we all originally thought. He bounced out of that race with some big works,
Yeah.
and then the closer he got to the Derby,
I'd
I
agree.
think I think he got a little dull, and I think the little time off helped him a whole lot. So I think we may be getting back to where he's showing his best on Saturday. And now going a mile and a quarter in the Travers in August, that might be a little different ball game. So
Yeah.
interesting to see if he does win, if they go on to the Travers or maybe just skip that and go to the Pennsylvania Derby.
Didn't even
So
mention Napoleon Solo, who actually ran a really good race in the Preakness, right? He actually handled Silly easily. A
Mhm.
horse I was not crazy about that day, but so he figures too, right? So, but I
Yeah,
just,
he makes a lot of sense.
but
I
I'm,
think he's gonna be a shorter price than I want to play him at in this race, though.
yeah,
I think he I don't know, maybe the Puma will be the second choice, but if not, it'd be him.
yeah, I like Further Ado here.
Yeah,
all right. Do we want to talk about this weekend?
Sure.
always.
All right. Well, Ellis Park has made a terrible decision.
Oh, you can say that again. You can say that again. They're
One
usually
of
on point with their stuff, but they messed up here.
one of the worst decisions in the history of the plant, and it's Ellis has been around over 100 years. They've decided. I'll let Geoff. You do the honors.
Okay, all right. Well, yes, Ellis Park has graciously offered us to make this basically auxiliary gate weekend on the simulcast with one Joe Christofek. So you will be seeing all three of our faces on the broadcast this weekend with Alan Schneider kicking things off on Friday. I will be on Saturday, and CC will be bringing it up for us on Sunday.
Yeah, I can already hear the ratings tanking for that show or whatever. It's gonna be like when they kill off a major character, like on The Walking Dead, that people love, and all people just tune out. So, sorry in advance.
No, I know the people want to hear from you guys at least. That's
No,
for
no.
sure. They see my picks on there daily now, but I know that the crowd's clamoring for some Allen and CC. I've heard the rumbles.
Well, we appreciate them asking us or whatever, and we've done it before and such. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And Joe's a great point guard, right? So no problem there. But
Absolutely.
so yeah, we'll see what we
Joe
can
is the
do.
man.
We'll see what we can do. And Joe, we also should mention Joe's been on fire all meet. Joe has been locked in. I've been on
It's a great
vacation at
point.
times, so I haven't seen everything. But every time I've seen it, I thought Joe's been on point with all his selections and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure he's got a positive ROI even on his selections that he has to submit early, and he has hit multiple tickets already for good amounts. I believe right now he's hit the last two all turf pick threes back to back, and they both paid pretty well. So
which is ironic because neither one of them are on the turf, so that
exactly
makes it even
the
tougher.
old
And
off the turf all turf pick three, still a
yeah,
great wager. I think it's one of the best wagers in all of racing, if not the best.
yeah. So that will be there. CCB doing it on Sunday, so he'll have our mistakes to be able to work around and really bring it home on Sunday, right?
That's exactly
I
right.
have a confession. I have a confession to make from last year. We got down to one of the last. It was a turf day, the big turf races. And I got down to
Mhm.
one of the last races, and Joe asked me about a horse, and I looked at my program and I was like, "Holy crap! I didn't even know this horse was in the race." So I had to pass it. Yeah, I think this horse has a big shot.
You can
Yeah.
fake your way. You can fake your way through it if you know the
Like,
circuit. You can fake your way
Uh-huh.
through.
I can't remember which horse it was. I'm sure it won. So, but
Well, you
I
anyway,
probably
like
got
it.
yourself in trouble because you like memorized everything. I remember the first time you were down there at LSCC and the race that you were on, you didn't even glance at the form. You had it all upstairs. And I was like, I don't know how this guy's doing this.
oh that was I was a lot younger back then. The the years have not been kind. Let's put it that way.
I want to touch on something you just mentioned too. I don't know how many times over the years where I'll my little tablet, I'll download Brisnet. That's all I use. I only use Brisnet, and I'll be scrolling through, and I'll get to the end of I think there's 8 horses in a race. It's just where the way the Brisnet will cut off as I'm scrolling down. Turns out there's 9 or 10, and I've done the same thing in the past. And for my own purposes, didn't realize there was a 9 or 10 horse in the race and stuff until later on. So I know exactly
Yeah,
what you're talking about there.
yeah, I've done that. I've done that even playing the multi-race wagers
Yeah.
on the phone, and won't realize that like a 15 has drawn in or a 16. I'll just scroll down to 12,
Hmm.
and I'll hit or maybe hit an all button, and then start picking off horses I don't want, and then I'll look
Yeah.
back later and I've included a 16 that's like 80 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's easy, and we're pretty good on that stuff too. So it just shows you mistakes can happen to anyone. So yeah, it's easy to do.
All right, enough banter. Let's get to our guest right after this. But not even right after this. We're going to go right to the guest. How about that? Here we go. All right. Our guest this evening, in my opinion, is an all-timer. He has worn many hats, not just in horse racing, but in other walks of life. From the information I have gathered, he has served in the roles of jockey agent, steward, television analyst, handicapper, Eclipse Award winning radio personality. I didn't even know that until today. Referee, umpire, and of course, most importantly, track announcer. If you Google search his name and then add a job title to the search, you're going to find usually an article about him. Vic Stauffer, handicap tournament winner. Vic Stauffer, racing official. Vic Stauffer's lasagna. That's a joke. I stole that from Alan. I'm sorry. Let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Vic Stauffer. Vic, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. I've listened to a lot of your shows, and it's my pleasure and honor to come on and talk about this amazing, great game that we get to play, and it's I'm looking forward.
Well, I have my own power rankings of best track announcers of all time, and
Uh-oh.
I unabashedly believe that you're probably top 15, top 20 of all time, and that's tall cotton in my opinion. In fact, uh, it's not. Well, it's my opinion that the three greatest race calls of all time are Chick Anderson's 73 Belmont,
Attaboy.
Tom Durkin's 87 Breeders' Cup Classic featuring Ali Sheba and Ferdinand, and Tom Durkin's 89 Classic where Sunday Silence just lasted over Easy Goer. Those are the three of the best. And I think somewhere between probably 3 and 10 or 15 is your call of the final race at Hollywood Park on December 22nd, 2013. If you're listening right now, hit the pause button, go to YouTube, type in last race at Hollywood Park, and you listen to this call. When I watch it, I watch it frequently, I still get chills. I'm not sure why I get chills. I think it was the fact that you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And every time I watch it, I expect you to like fumble your words or, just miss something. But no, you nailed the call. You absolutely nailed it. It was perfect. I'm so proud of. I don't even know you, and I'm proud of you for getting that down. I, I want to ask you, like, what led up to that particular call? Were you coerced to do it? Did you have to get permission to do it? Was it your call? What led to that day?
That day was a very, and still to me is one of the saddest days of my life. In that all I ever really wanted to be was the race caller at Hollywood Park. And I knew when I was a very young man that would be the apex for me. And so it's a bittersweet memory when I think about it. That call was every bit of 6 months in the making. We knew about halfway through the year what day was going to be closing day, and that there was no chance that we were coming back after that day. And so I would say at least 6 months before we actually ran that race, I started thinking about what would be appropriate, what would be different, but more importantly, what would honor the memory of this incredible place that ran races for 75 plus years. That call had so many machinations and incantations over that 6 month period. I had a whole bunch of different versions, different ideas that I was going to do. I consulted a laundry list of race callers and broadcasters about it, mostly race callers who were instrumental in adding ideas, telling me what they thought that they might like and might not like. There was literally a half a dozen different options up until the final day, and there were a couple of options up until about 20 minutes to post. I hadn't really decided what I was going to go with. The announcers that helped are a who's who. Larry Colmus was very instrumental. I talked to him. Michael Rona. I discussed it with Tom briefly. He didn't really want to get involved, but not because he didn't care and want me to do well, but he advised me to have it be from my heart and myself and be true to myself. And a lot of other things went into that. It was about 10 minutes to post, literally about 10 minutes to post. I had a half a dozen people up on the roof with me that day at Hollywood Park, including my wife, who was in the booth, and she's sitting next to me right now. And some friends, and like I said, it was an extremely emotional day. As they were coming out onto the track, I had made my decision. Anybody that thinks that a race call like that is ad lib is kidding themselves. It was once I decided what I was going to do, it was rehearsed. It was scripted. But I still had to produce it, and thank the good Lord, it just I was very, very proud of that call. It wasn't an easy call to make. I had to make tough decisions. Because I had to decide how much I wanted to talk about Hollywood Park and the history, but then I still had a responsibility to the horses, to the horsemen, to the betters of that race, to give them a clear, concise, accurate race call. And it all came together very nicely, and it's one of the things that I'm most proud of, and I truly appreciate you saying that. Regarding the ranking of announcers, I don't know if you guys know this, but recently there was a worldwide poll of the greatest race callers that ever live. And I want you guys to know that in that vote, a worldwide vote, finished second.
Really?
That's the good news. The bad news is all of the other announcers who have ever called a race were tied for first.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Okay, Vic, we believe you. So all right, back to that race call. Back to that race call. I mean, did you have a script written down? I'm sure you did, right?
Well, I didn't look at the script while the race was going. And it wasn't verbatim, but I darn sure scripted out every thought, every idea I wanted to do. Like when I went through the horses' names, the great horses of the past, as they turned into the backstretch, I had that list and that list had some additions and subtractions. There was a couple that were, there were many that were obvious that they were going to be on there, and there was no doubt that Queenie was going last in that list. But to say it was scripted, I didn't do it verbatim, but I did make cliff notes, and before the race actually started earlier that day, when I was pretty sure I was going to do what I ended up doing, even though there were options at 10 minutes to post. I asked my very good and great friend James O. I asked my wife, well, what do you think we ought to go with? And it was pretty much unanimous. So I wasn't reading from a script because I didn't look down at a script per se while the horses were running, and it was really getting dark too. So that scared the heck out of me. But I definitely had a template and an outline, and I had timed it out that there would be certain things that I wanted to say at certain points of the race. So like I said, it was something that literally grew out of the respect that I had for that day and for that race over the course of about 6 months.
Well, again, you nailed it. What was your response, or what was the response to you? I should say, what was the reception to that call? Did you get a lot of pats on the back, or how
overwhelmingly positive? People liked it. One person completely trashed it, and that was he was still working for the Daily Racing Forum at the time, an Eclipse Award rider, Jay Hovde.
I know.
He wrote in the Daily Racing Forum that it was just awful, that I didn't respect the 40 claimers that were running in the race, and that I should have just made a good, clear, concise race call, and that I did a disservice to the 12 horses that were in the race. I thought that was the biggest bunch of happy horse shit I've ever heard in my life.
I mean,
because and he got crushed. There was a time when the Racing Forum had letters to the editor, and they also on their website had, like, the beginnings of all of these chat rooms we see and all of that, or all of these forums. And when he wrote that column, he got killed. And I understand he's entitled to his opinion. And I guess there was an argument to be made for that, but I always took pride in praising the racehorses and the jockeys and the connections and all of that. And yes, they deserve their due, and they got them, because I went through the field twice. I called the winner correctly. I actually didn't call the winner, but I said it was camera close up. But that needed to be more than just what he called for and what he said I should do. And I took great comfort in that. In the court of public opinion, people didn't agree with him on that one. Great rider, Eclipse Award winner, a true lover of the game, but we had to disagree on that one. I was to this day, I was very, very proud of that race call. Very.
I 100% agree. That was an all-timer, man. That was awesome. You've called races at Hawthorne, Lone Star, Hialeah, Gulfstream, Hollywood, Oaklawn, and now Turf Paradise, and I'm sure many other venues. What was your favorite venue to call races at?
Hollywood Park.
No doubt.
Not even close. My grandfather took me to the races for the first time in my life when I was 8 years old. When I was 13 years old, I knew that I was going to spend the rest of my life doing something at the racetrack. I knew it. And what a blessing. What a blessing to know what you're going to do. I have an 8th grade education, because after the 8th grade, I just took the GED and went to the racetrack, and I haven't left since. And the 3 racetracks that I grew up learning to love this great sport were Hollywood Park, Del Mar, and to a great extent, Agua Caliente in Tijuana, where I would go down every weekend and watch the races on Saturday and Sunday down there. And so many great stories about Caliente. You should do a whole show all about the racing at Caliente. Man, I could tell you so many stories about that place. But my favorite venue by far, and I've been blessed. I was blessed to call at Gulfstream. I called Barbaro's Florida Derby before his ill-fated year, and
that's right. That's right.
and
Yeah.
and I was honored to call at Oakland for the 6 years that I did there. But my 13 years at Hollywood Park were really, they meant so much to me, and people would say, "Wow, you made such great race calls at Hollywood Park." I said, something. Okay, that's nice of you to say. What I did was I called great horses at Hollywood Park. You can't. I mean, Chick Anderson called Secretariat, and it's to me the best race call that was ever made. And the reason why it's so good is because he described something that he couldn't possibly have ever anticipated he was going to see. And yet he described it and did so beautifully. It's to me, it's the greatest race call ever. But you made these great calls. I called Zenyatta 8 times. I called 3 Hollywood Gold Cups of Lava Man. I called Ghost Zapper when he broke his maiden. I called Officer. I called, Ventura. I called Cesario when she won the American Oaks. I made great race calls because I was calling great horses and didn't screw it up. So the answer to that question is an easy one. It's the Track of the Lakes and Flowers, Hollywood Park, without a doubt.
I assume is a stupid question. I assume that Zenyatta is your favorite racehorse to call.
Well, yes and no. Because some of my favorite racehorses to call were 12-5 claimers that just laid their bodies down and did such amazing things given what they had to work with. People talk about class of racehorses. Well, it's one thing to say a horse has class, but it's another way to say that is, well, the classiest horses are the best horses. To me, there's class, but then there's also incredible ability. But if you take, I don't know if you guys ever remember this horse, and I watched him die in front of me from a heart attack at Gulfstream Park. But there was a horse on the Eastern Seaboard for many years, and he ran until he was 12 years old. His name was Maybe Jack. And Maybe Jack ran till he was 12, won like 30 races, and just went out and laid his body down every single solitary time he ran. And to me, that's like a school teacher that goes to work and does it for 30 years and tries to make the kids better, or a bus driver who greets you with a smile every day. I'm going to tell you something. Those people have as much class as anybody. And a horse like Maybe Jack or some of the other ones, Sun Fighter, different horses that I think of over the years, they have every bit as much class because they go, they do their job, they give it their all, and that demands my respect. So I have a whole laundry list of horses like that. Zenyatta, I owe an incredible debt of gratitude to Zenyatta because without her, a whole lot of people wouldn't know who I was or really care. And so she got me into places and she let me share what passion that I had for her and her whole story. So she's got a special place in my heart. But most of my all-time favorites are lunch pail 12-5 claimers going 1 1/8 miles on the turf in the last race of the day. those are my favorite horses, and maybe Jack might have been the top of that list. Look him up sometime. Pull up his lifetime PPs. He was amazing.
I will. You're a man after my own heart, loving those 12.5 claimers. I love that. I love that. It's kind of not hard to figure out why you're so good. I have a feeling I know why you're so good at the things you do, track announcer, handicapper, steward. I think you're meticulous, detail oriented, very analytical. I assume nothing gets by you. Uh, you are a steward, a racing official on the fair circuit in California back in the early, I think right around 2011 through 2015. What was that all about? Is that something you just wanted to try your hand at, or is it maybe something that is just an opportunity that came up? How did that come about? And B, was that enjoyable for you to do that type of work?
Yeah, I've actually been a steward in 4 different states: California, Wyoming, Colorado, and Louisiana, and I've been chief steward in both Colorado and Louisiana. Um, it was my way. I have such respect for our game, and I have such respect for when you're an announcer, you pretty much take, but you can't really give much back. I mean, you can promote our sport, you can try to be an ambassador, you can try to get people excited about our sport, but you're sort of the piano player, and there's not really much you can do to move the needle other than to hopefully give people a great experience. When you're a racing official, it's one way that you really honestly can give back to the sport when you're a regulator. And I had worked with so many great stewards over the years. I mean, names of some of the greats that ever lived: Tommy Trotter, Pete Peterson, King Dangerfield, Walter Blum, um, great stewards. And I was always fascinated by the job that they did selflessly to make our sport better. And stewards can move that needle. And so when I wanted to become a steward, and I still am a steward and will be again at some point, I actually turned down a steward's job this year at Canterbury, only because I spent 6 months in Phoenix and I didn't have the heart to tell my wife, hey, listen, hey, I'm coming home, but oh, by the way, I'll be there 2 weeks and then I'm going to Minnesota for 4 months. I just didn't think that was cool. So I didn't do it. But I will be back in the steward stand another time. It's a way of being able to give back, and it's also a way of hopefully being able to make the game better. And I don't know if you guys are musical fans. I don't know if you watched Wicked this year, and you know when it came out and all of that. But the main character, one of the two main characters in Wicked, are the two witches, the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch. And her name is Elphaba, the Wicked Witch, and she has incredible powers. And then they say because she is she is a child of two worlds. Well, when you are a steward, you can impact all of the worlds. You can impact first and foremost the betters. And if you're a good steward, you can make it a better game for them, a cleaner game, an unbiased game, a fair game. But then you can also hopefully help the horsemen navigate the shark-infested waters of the rule book. You can also help the associations by being clear, concise, following the rule book, and helping them be able to put on the show that they have to put on. So you can be a master to all kinds of worlds, but at the end of the day, good stewards are there to make the game better and to hopefully let the participants, all of them, be they the licensees or the administrators, or first and foremost, the horse players, to know that they have a chance of having a clear, fair, unbiased, level playing field. And when I decided to be a steward, it was the way that I thought that I could give back. And I adore being a steward. I was a steward on the NorCal Fairs. I also got called up to the majors for 1 month. I was a steward at Del Mar for a month one time, and Los Al at the old Fairplex. So all over California, and it's a great honor to be a steward, and it's a tremendous responsibility. And I'm looking forward to the next time that I go into the stand. I am not finished being a steward. I will be a steward somewhere else sometime in the not too distant future.
Do others that was a great answer. I mean, I nominate you for president of horse racing after that. Do other stewards feel that way, or is it just a job to some? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean, good stewards do, and I've worked with some amazing stewards. The current executive director of the California Horse Racing Board, Scott Cheney. I worked with Scott several times. When I was the announcer at Hollywood Park, and he was one of the 3 stewards in California. But then we also worked together in the steward stand at a couple of meets. And when I went down to Del Mar, I actually filled in for him for a month when he took some time off. Most stewards are stewards because they love our sport, and they believe in all of the good that our sport can do, and they want to be able to give everybody a fair shake. Now, there's going to be stewards that kind of phone it in sometimes. Okay, that happens. They're human beings. There are going to be some stewards who just aren't as good because they don't dive into the rule book as much as they should. They don't watch film as much as they should. They didn't get the training that some others do. I have respect for all stewards, but some are good, some are great, and some not so much. I mean, that's just the human condition. But the vast majority of stewards that I have worked with, and I could give you a laundry list of people who I like, love, and respect. The 3 stewards in California right now, 2 of them are really good close friends, Grant Baker and Kim Sawyer, 2 terrific stewards. The third is Louis Hardigy. He's an ex-jockey, and I don't know Louis as well as I know Grant and Kim, but they do a great job in California. Nobody likes the referee, and everybody thinks that the stewards are this, that, and the other, and they're incompetent, this, that. Why don't they show consistency? Let me tell you something. Let's talk about the word consistency, because it is the true C word. Everybody thinks they know what the C word is. The true C word is consistency. And I'll tell you why. If you guys agree with 5 consecutive calls I make, and by the way, we'll talk about this as well. Judging races for placings and inquiries and objections and all that is a very small part of being a steward. There is way more to it than that. But that's what everybody knows about, because that's when the races are being judged. But if I make 5 consecutive decisions about an inquiry, be it DQ or as is, and you agree with all 5 of those decisions, then you're going to say, wow, Vic is very consistent. But if on the 6th decision, you disagree with what I had to say, well, Vic's consistency just went right out the window. He's not consistent. So that word, the real C word, consistency, isn't consistency. That word is agree.
Yeah.
But to me, the way that you can be consistent, and this is something I learned from another absolutely great steward, and he's the chief steward now in California. His name's Daryl McCarg, a Hall of Fame jockey. He would always say to me, find sanctuary in the rule book. Just find sanctuary in the rule book. It will never betray you. And I think that good stewards do that. I have more passion right now, to be honest with you, for being a steward than I do being a race caller. But I had a unique opportunity this year at Turf Paradise, and I got to work with a whole bunch of incredible people in that place, in a place in an industry that's contracting and everybody says is dying, which I don't believe. Turf Paradise is going to be a rising phoenix I totally believe that. It may take a while, but that place has a chance to be a super huge success story in the Valley of the Sun.
Well, we were just talking about that before you came on. The Turf Paradise, a really beautiful track, beautiful scenery, and it's been around a long time. Probably got a lot of uh, atmosphere and history there. I would guess.
It's really amazing. I mean, obviously, there are places that when you're sitting in the grandstand and you look out at the panorama in front of you that are going to take your breath away. The first one, of course, would be either Del Mar or Santa Anita. Santa Anita, you're looking at those incredible Sierra Madre Mountains, and Del Mar, you're looking at the Pacific Ocean. But the panorama you see when you're sitting in the grandstand at Turf Paradise is close, man. It's really, really terrific. Um, they have new management, they have new ownership. They're going into their second year with that. It's not going to happen overnight, but Turf Paradise is trending in an industry that many people think is dying. Turf Paradise is alive and well and going to get better and better. You watch it. That's a tout I can give you. I don't know if I can pick a winner, but I can tell you that's something that I can guarantee because I'm going to be a part of it.
There used to be a race there called, I think it was the Phoenix Gold Cup, 6 furlongs.
Sure.
I
Winning you're
think
in for the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
Okay, there was a horse named Zany Tactics, maybe set a 6 furlong world record there. Way
106
back.
and 4.
Wow.
What? 106 and 4.
106 and 4, Zany Tactics, trained by Blake Heap and ridden by one of the great race riders to ever sit on the back of a racehorse, the one, the only, Cowboy Jack Cannell.
Wow, that's the late 80s, right? Late 80s,
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. I remember him. He used to ride Northern California a lot. Yeah.
He was one of the most physically gifted race riders to ever sit on the back of a racehorse, and he just drank himself to death.
Yeah. Yep, indeed.
Very
Okay,
sad.
Before I turn it over to these guys, this is just for me. I've always wanted to ask this to a steward. Never had a chance, and this is unfair, but I want you to make a ruling on the 2019 Kentucky Derby. Maximum Security, of course, went wire to wire. I've watched this race 1,000 times. And when Luis Saez drifts out on the far turn, he drifts out into the path of War of Will. And I know you've seen this. Everybody's seen it. He drifts out into the path. War of Will should have fallen, but the horse never missed a stride. It was the most athletic thing I've ever seen. He just never clipped heels. He kept going with the fluid stride. I think, my opinion, if I were in charge, I would have taken Maximum Security down. I want to know what your opinion was on something like that when something that should have been a foul occurs, but nobody was really bothered. Does that make sense? I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but
It makes perfect sense. Well, Maximum Security was disqualified. We know that.
right.
If that race was the third race on Thursday, that inquiry would have taken about 2 minutes. It took 21 because it was the Kentucky Derby. And the stewards at Churchill Downs wanted to make very, very sure that they found sanctuary in the rule book and that they were 100% sure that horses were cost opportunities at better placing as a result of Maximum Security coming out into their path, costing them an opportunity at a better placing by either losing momentum or position. People will say that it took 21 minutes because it was the Kentucky Derby, and I guess I understand that. But in another way, I don't really understand it because when you find sanctuary in the rule book, there's only one page as it relates to racing infractions. There isn't one page for all the other races and then another for the Kentucky Derby. It's the same rule book. Mm-hmm. And in that particular case, even though it was difficult because it was the world's most famous horse race, the actual decision as to whether or not that horse cost other rivals an opportunity at a better placing was as cookie cutter as it can get. I don't know why he made that turn. I do know it wasn't Saez's fault, and I thought he was an incredible scapegoat when not only did they take away the purse, they gave him days. I didn't think he deserved the days at all. There was 40,000 people in the infield, most of them drunk, screaming and whatever. They're still tired, young horses trying something for the first time in their life, going 1.25 miles. And I don't know why Maximum Security decided to make that right turn, but something inside, I think, in the infield spooked him. And he came out, and it was if it had been, like I said, if it had been Thursday in the third race and, an A other than, that inquiry would have taken 5 minutes tops, maybe less.
Perfect.
The stewards
That's what I want.
The stewards at Churchill Downs to this day still get hate mail about it. For a year, each and every of the 3 stewards had a security guard with them, assigned to them when they would walk from the parking lot into the steward stand, into the offices, and then walk out with them after the races, all 3 of them, because they got death threats and all of that. Okay. That's just awful. They say it took courage to disqualify a horse out of the Kentucky Derby. I don't buy that. It was an easy call, and he deserved to be disqualified.
That's what I wanted to hear, because I swear I've watched this 100 times, and it's like an optical illusion watching that turn. But I've already talked about that. So all right, that's enough from me. I'm going to turn it over to these guys. One of you want to step up and talk to the legend, Vic Stauffer?
I'll bring something up real quick.
Go ahead, Alan. You got this.
I want to touch base a little bit with what you were just saying. I know as a viewer better, I am guilty of this. Because I guess it's something I formulated in my head a long time ago, and that's where the mistake is made. In that, when I'm watching an inquiry, I may be right the majority of the time, but I usually I take it as well, did it cost another horse a placing by and large? And a lot of times that's actually the truth. But just because I think that way or I've developed that over my time, that's not necessarily what's in the rule book, right? It's the rule book, and if you don't like the rules, you need to change it, just like with Congress, right? And am I on the right track there? It's yes, I may be right a lot of the time just because that's what I grew up thinking, but that may not necessarily be what's the letter of the law, correct? Am I right on that?
Well, it depends on where you live. Because,
yeah, I was going to bring that part up too, yes.
Yeah, because North America, Canada, and United States are Category 2 racetracks, all of them. And the rest of the world, Japan, Australia, Europe, are Category 1. And the difference between Category 1 and Category 2 is night and day. And to give you a real thumbnail of it is Category 1 is if a horse fouls another horse, and the stewards believe that although there was a foul, that the horse was fouled, would not have finished in front of the horse who fouled him.
Right.
They leave the result alone. That's Category 1. Category 2 is if a horse was fouled, and in the subjective but trained and experienced opinion of the stewards, every decision for placings is subjective. If in Category 2, the stewards believe that the horse was fouled, was cost an opportunity at a better placing, then the horse that fouled that horse must be placed behind that horse. The best way I could describe it to you is this. Let's say we have a horse in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And at the quarter pole, the horse that is much the best and is going to go on and win the race fouls the horse that is currently second. And that horse, through all intents and purposes, had absent being fouled, was going to go on and be a clear second. Okay,
Right.
that sets the stage. Now,
Yep.
let's remember, this is a $6 million race. It's $1.2 million for second purse money and $600,000 for third. And obviously, hundreds of millions of dollars has been bet on the race. Now, as a result of this winner, this much the best winner, going on and winning by clear open lengths, but he fouls the second horse, and that horse is bumped, impeded, loses momentum and position, and in the last jump is beaten for second, when he never would have been beaten for second absent the foul. What's the right thing to do? You have to decide.
Take him down. Category 2, right? Take him down. That's what I would do. Yeah.
And that horse must be placed behind the horse that he fouled. Now, people say, well, why would you play God? You're not playing God. First of all, you're finding sanctuary again in the rule book. But secondly, well, why damage the better? Why damage the better? The winner was much the best. That's another argument that I hate, because you might be damaging the better,
but
who correctly selected the winner. Okay, that's a tough beat. But what about the better who needed that horse to be second in the exacta? Or what about the better who had that horse to place? And what about the owners who were cost $600,000 and breeding implications between being second or third in the Breeders' Cup Classic? And so when they say, well, the betters are damaged, well, for every better that's damaged, there's another better that benefits. Yeah. And so, again, it's the difference between Cat 1 and Cat 2. And me being a Cat 2 steward, I can tell you Cat 1 sucks compared to Cat 2. It just does.
I'm a Cat 2 guy.
I have, and this is something that I've probably said to at least 100 race riders in my life. At least 100. When we're talking in film review the next day, deciding explaining why a horse was disqualified, and then deciding whether or not to issue a sanction of a suspension or a fine. I always tell them, in the long and storied history of thoroughbred racing and parimutuel wagering, which has been going on for 150 years, there has never once been a horse disqualified that ran straight.
Good point.
It's never happened.
I like that. All right, let me ask you this. I mean, I'll let you keep going. Go ahead.
No, that's a
good one to
go
end
straight.
with. So let me ask you this point blank. There's a lot of talk about this. I don't personally believe this, but I know we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you this. Does betting have to happen after the bell, after the horses leave the gate? I personally don't believe it. I know some people do. And I know your stance on it, so why don't you go ahead and just illuminate us?
I wish I had a stronger way of saying absolutely not. Yeah.
You can say whatever you want on here. You can use the F-bomb if you need to.
No, they're not betting after the bell. First of all, people are suggesting that the CAWs, the computer-assisted wagering crowd, is betting after the bell. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, because they have they don't care who wins.
Right.
Yeah. They don't care who wins. And there is what people don't understand about the CAWs, and clearly you do, but what most people don't understand is the object of the CAWs, and yes, they do have a tremendous edge because they get to bet last.
Yes.
And their money goes into the pool, but what their goal is to put the most possible money into a parimutuel pool by filling the gaps that are left at the last second that their algorithm can find in the pools. And their goal is to put the most possible money into a race and break even. to put in $1 million for the sake of argument and get back $1 million. Because if they can do that, they're getting 11% on their money.
They made 110,000 regardless of who won the race.
Correct. That's it. And so there's two reasons why this betting after the bell is just nonsensical. One, there wouldn't necessarily be an advantage. It may help them figure out who's going to win, but they don't care who's going to win. They don't care. What they're trying to do is get the same amount out that they put in. Mm-hmm. The second thing is these people are printing money. Why would they cheat? There's no reason to cheat because they are making ridiculous amounts of money. Why would you shoot the golden goose?
Yeah, why
would you have a tote company, the stewards, the racetracks be complicit in perpetrating crime when you don't have to cheat? All you have to do is continue to be able to have this incredible golden goose still be there at your feet. No one is betting after the bell, period, full stop.
Full stop. That'd be a full stop for me, though. I know those are two that we had to get out there, right? So I appreciate you bringing that. I wanted to ask you a little quick one about Chicago, because I told you a little about Chicago, the band Chicago the other day, but maybe I'll save that for after the show and let Jeff Riggs, because I'm a music guy, I'll let Jeff Riggs take over.
Oh yeah, that conversation could go a while, Alan. We've had some music conversations before, so I know how that's going to go. But yeah, I'm sure Vic will stick around with us afterward. But I know we've talked a lot about the whole Stewart thing, inquiries, decisions, Kentucky Derby, but it just made me think. Vic, do you think that the Kentucky Derby? I know you said find solace in the rule book, but like with the 20-horse field, does it have to be somewhat refereed differently just because more bumping and stuff is going to happen in a race like that?
Good question.
That's not a good question. It's a great question. Me personally, I would go back once again to there's nothing in the rule book that says, okay, this is how you judge a race on a normal day, and this is how you judge the Kentucky Derby. Mm-hmm. But the simple fact of the matter is you also want to let the participants in the world's most famous horse race, I think human beings and certainly racing fans, and stewards are racing fans just like everybody else, most of them are. I think that maybe because we're human, there might be a little bit of a double standard, maybe. I deny I ever said that, but I just said it. So I do think that stewards tend to let them play a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Just like referees don't want to get involved. It's the seventh game of the NBA Finals as much. You do know that there's going to be inherent traffic. You also know that guys are going to take risks that they would never take in any old race because you only get one chance a year to win the Kentucky Derby. But then you also take into consideration that there's a very good chance that the 20 best jockeys on planet Earth are in that race, and they're getting everybody around there. You don't see spills in the Kentucky Derby, which is, everybody says that's a miracle. No, it's not, because these are the best race riders in the world, and they trust each other, and they get each other around there. And then they try their asses off. I'd like to tell you that in my heart of hearts that I would be the same steward, and I'm telling you that officially, but I do think that when you're talking about immortality, that maybe as a fan and trying to put the best result out there for the whole stratosphere that maybe stewards a little bit have a mindset of let's let them play a little more than you might on just any old race.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you can't see my face, but I was nodding through all that. So we're definitely on the same page there. I think that you do need to hold to the letter of the law, and when something obvious happens, like the maximum security issue, that horse has to come down. But if there's something questionable that happens farther back in the pack when everybody's on the turn, and it could maybe change the farther back finishers, like fourth and fifth finishers or something like that. I think that they do kind of let some things go more than they would in the regular race, and I don't really see a problem with that, just because it is such a unique race in so many ways. But yeah, it was good to get your perspective on that. I appreciate you expanding a little bit. But just, I guess, moving on. I know we've talked a lot about that stuff at this point. You did mention about how you just got your GED and you have been working at the track ever since. What was your very first job in the racing industry?
I was a night watchman at San Luis Ray Downs
Mhm.
for Hall of Fame trainer Charlie Whittingham,
Oh, wow.
who I never met. That's where he would send his babies and his layups, and his brother Joe ran the barn there.
Hmm.
And I started out as a night watchman. I got kicked upstairs to being a hot walker, and then I became a groom. And then I realized that working on the backside was a very hard way to make a very bad living.
Oh, yes.
And so I started to go. I never missed a day of racing at Del Mar in the summertime. And when everybody else was looking at the girls and firing away and trying to have a beer, even though we were 17 or whatever, I found myself listening to the announcer, who was
Mhm.
the iconic Harry Henson, one of the
Mhm.
great announcers that ever lived. And I became really in tune to how he affected how I felt about the races. And so I knew I was going to do something at the racetrack, but then even very early on, I knew that I wanted to try to become a race caller. And that was because of listening to Harry Henson, listening to the great Dave Johnson,
Mhm.
and um, and then as that evolved, listening to Tom Durkin, um, who to me is the greatest race caller that ever lived.
Yep.
That's my personal opinion. When I got the job, I followed Tom Durkin into Gulfstream Park. When he left, I was named the announcer there. And I was walking out one day, and somebody came to me and said, "Wow, you really sound good up there." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much." He said, "You sound a little bit like Tom Durkin." And I said, "There's a reason for that. It's because I'm not good enough to sound exactly like Tom Durkin. Because if I could, I would."
Uh,
Um, One of the great human beings ever. Just such a fine man. We could do a show. We could do a 2-hour show of me telling you Tom Durkin stories. And in addition to being the greatest, he's one of the best human beings I've ever met. And I'm proud to call him a friend to this day.
yeah, that says a lot. I think there were not many people that would argue with you that he is the greatest race caller of all time, and he's at least right at the top. But everyone that we've talked to who knows him has said the same thing as well, that he is just an A-plus human being too. So that's pretty cool. And that you kind of already answered what was going to be my next question. Is I was going to ask, is there anyone that you really tried to emulate growing as you were starting? It sounds like those were the guys. Um, did you have like a direct mentor going into it? Was there anybody that you could really lean on early on just getting the ropes down and what to do as you were starting off your career as a race caller?
Um, Harry, Harry,
Hmm.
Harry. I was 16, I think, and I went up to Harry and told him how much I admired him. I snuck into the press box at Del Mar and went up to his booth and talked to him, and he just couldn't have been kinder.
Hmm.
And I said that I wanted to be a race caller, and he said, "No, you don't." And I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "No, you don't. Everybody tells me they want to be a race caller, but they don't want to put in the work."
Mhm.
And I said, I do. He said, okay, let's find out. So he talked to Dan Smith, who was the long time publicity director at Del Mar. And he said, okay, this kid says he wants to be a race caller. Find a spot on the roof for him and let him practice. And I said, okay. And Harry said, every 100 calls you make sure that you tape the 100th call and bring it to me, and we'll do that. And I made, over the course of better part of a year, almost 1,000 calls, and I took them in, and Harry told me what he liked about them, what he didn't like about them, and I laid a foundation then of making a good, solid, clear, concise race call. People talk about all of the things that go into great race calls. Trevor Denman, Tom Durkin, Dave Johnson, Larry Colmus, Frank Miramati, all of these guys, Travis Stone, all of them, Chick Anderson, go on and on. And all of the things that they do are very special and memorable. You can't do any of that until you can make a stock, boring, accurate, clear, concise race call. Mm-hmm. And you can't add on. It's like laying the foundation of a house. And you cannot add on something until you have that first layer. And then when you have the first layer of knowing who the horses are, clearly and concisely saying their names, getting the margins and reporting what you have, now you can add on another layer. Might be in to throw a jockey's name in, or it might be to be a little bit more descriptive. And then when you can do that, and it's not like something that you just say, okay, I'm going to do that, you incorporate it in with another 150 practice calls. And then you lay the next foundation, and that building block goes all the way up to the top to where you are capable of doing the best version of what you do. That's the only, I've had 100 guys come to me and say, I want to be a race caller. And I always, no, you don't. Uh-huh. And no, I really do. Okay, here's what you do. Yeah. And I can tell you, the guys that said that to me, that really meant it, Tony Calo, mm-hmm. John Lees, mm-hmm. and Larry Colmus.
Oh, wow. Yep.
They really meant it.
That's a solid 3 right there.
Yeah. And because otherwise, I had one guy say, I said, well, okay, here's what you have to do. He says, nah, I already got my catchphrases down. Excuse me? Yeah, I got my catchphrases down. Uh-huh. I said, you don't know who the goddamn horses are. What are you talking about? A catchphrase? Well, I said, get out of here. So I'll give you a bone to pick. Everybody talks about the European announcers. Mm-hmm. You know, they're so good, they call 30-horse fields, this, that, and the other thing. We could do that. Us North American announcers could do that. I'll tell you a guy that could call a 90-horse field, Kurt Becker. Mm-hmm. That guy can memorize a 14-horse field as they're walking into the gate and not miss one of them.
Wow, that's incredible.
So everybody talks, oh, you know, the European announcers are this, and the Australian announcers and all that. You think Tom Durkin couldn't called in called the Arc? Give me a break. Right. Give me a break. Or Trevor or Michael Rona. Michael Rona, what a great announcer he is. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I have such a passion for race callers and the ones that really laid the foundation and do the work. I remember when Frank Miramati first started out, and he was kind of a, you know, his way in was the impersonations and impressions that he did, and they were great and they were funny and all of that. Mm-hmm. But for the longest time, he hadn't laid that foundation. Mm-hmm. And then he just, when he got big jobs, he did, and now he's as good as it gets. And what Frank did was kind of tone it down a little bit, rather than, you know, one of the things that's very important about, I think, calling elite races is, and Tom was the best at this, but certainly Trevor and you know, all of the guys. A grade 1 race has to feel different. It has to sound different. And
Right.
just saying it louder, that ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank now is one of the ones that has that special feel. A
Yeah.
name that I haven't brought up, who my personal opinion is the absolute gold standard right now of North American race callers, is Travis Stone.
Yeah.
When he said in the Stephen Foster, when they were passing the quarter pole, we have a World Cup winner, a Breeders' Cup winner, and a Kentucky Derby winner. That was fucking literature.
Yes. Yes.
That's how good that was.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, it wasn't just off the top of his head.
Right. No, he prepares
there are announcers out
incredibly
there
hard.
that try things
Yeah.
off the top of their head,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work.
And it doesn't work. No, you have to prepare for possibilities. That's what, yeah, it's unbelievable that, and I'm glad that you did bring up Travis, because we're so blessed to have him in our backyard as one of the best, if not the best in the game right now. But you're right. He makes it sound so seamless.
Yeah.
Putting those things together and still painting the picture so well. It's incredibly impressive. So I completely agree.
And he's from the Durkin tree as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, everybody
Sure.
talks like all of these guys that coached under or Nick Saban or Bill Parcells or whoever,
Mm-hmm.
and then the tree goes down. Well, the Durkin tree is all over the country. Believe me when I tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. All right. Well, I know Cece's got a couple more questions for you to wrap it up, so I'll kick it back over to him. But I've really, really enjoyed this, Vic.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
All right, I've got 112 more questions. I'm going to whittle it down to two, two most important ones. I know that, or I think that you like to push it through the window from time to time. I know you like to gamble on the races. I think, is that true?
100%. I'm a tournament player. When I'm a steward, I completely suspend all wagering, no matter on anything. But when I'm not a steward, I've cashed 5 times in the BCBC. Finished 13th, 11th, 10th, 8th, DQ'd into 7th, and 5th. So I'm very proud of that, cashing 5 times in the BCBC. And I play big money tournaments now. I'm not a day-to-day player so much, because I said to my wife one year, I said, "Hey, honey, guess what?" She said, "What?" I said, "We made $130,000 this year betting on horses." And she said, "Yeah, that's nice. You made about $1.83 an hour." Because of the work you have to put in to do it, and I'm just too lazy to do that. So I concentrate now on big tournaments. Got one coming up a week from Saturday, the summer betting challenge at Del Mar. 6,000 buy-in, 4,000 live bankroll, 2-day tournament, the 25th and 26th. Got to be on track at Del Mar, and I'll be there playing it.
You're a Sheets guy, right?
Thoroughgraph, 100%.
Okay. Tell the story about the Gulfstream Park seminars where you were conducting seminars, right? What the story behind the reason you did the seminars?
So I could get free sheets.
Right.
Is the reason.
I'll tell the story. I don't know where I heard it. I think I heard it from you, but I might have read it on the Thoroughgraph board. You started every seminar with, or at least the Florida Derby seminar with, it's Florida Derby Day. I've got a lot of things to do, but I get these sheets for free, and they are so valuable that I would kill whatever it is, an hour, hour and a half teaching this seminar just so I could get free sheets, right? Something like that.
100%, 100%. And the foundation of those seminars is people have bet billions of dollars over the years on horse races, and they have used every variable, every factor, every conceivable way of trying to land on the right horse to bet, and that they have buried the lead. And the lead is fast horses beat slow horses, full stop. So how do you know who's fast and who's not? You do that with a reliable performance fig, and there is nothing on this that if I could only have one thing in the daily racing form, it would be the Beyer speed figures. There's no doubt. But the Beyer speed figures are a Chevy Chevette, and Thorograph and Ragozin are Maseratis. And I'm telling you that the single best thing in the racing form is the Beyer speed figures, because fast horses beat slow horses. But the sophistication that they've gone up from that for Thorograph and Ragozin is, here's the thing about using sheets. It's not necessarily going to make you have to be a child of all the worlds. You have to do your trip handicapping. You have to understand value. You have to consider race shapes. You have to consider trainer and owner intent. All of that is important, and you must have that. Will Thorograph point you to more winners? Not necessarily. But what Thorograph will do is, if you remove Thorograph and do all of your handicapping using trips and using race shape and all of that, over the course of 100 bets, you're going to bet on 12 horses that, even though you used all those variables and considerations, those horses are not going to win. And why are they not going to win? Because they're not fast enough. Period. What Thorograph did for me was, it didn't necessarily open up horses that would win. It caused me to bet on a whole hell of a lot of horses. It caused me to not bet on a whole hell of a lot of horses that couldn't win, even though they checked all the other boxes, because they were not fast enough to win. That's what changed my life by starting to look at sheets.
Well said. I'll get you out of here on this final question. If it was a fight with no weapons between you and Tony Kalo, who would win?
If it was a fight between me and Tony Bennett, he'd win.
Nice.
The next fight I'm in will be my first. Tony went to Chico State.
Well,
which
we know.
Which means Chico State and San Diego State were the two most party schools in California forever. Tony is a beer drinking badass. I want to negotiate. He would kick my ass.
All right. That's perfect. Perfect way to end the show. Vic, you're one of the best guests ever. We greatly appreciate your time to talk to us. Good luck going forward. Thank you for recounting a lot of tales, a lot of great stories. It's been a great honor. I truly appreciate it. Anytime I can talk about this game, if you want to have me come back on, and we'll talk about other stuff, it's more than my pleasure. And keep up the great work. And thank you for letting me talk about my favorite thing. All right. Sounds good. Vic Stauffer, everybody. Okay. During the interview, Vic said that Harry Henson told him to practice, 100 times, and he would listen to it. Name something that you guys have done 1,000 times and you've gotten better at it. I've got my answer.
I built cars for 25 years, right? So, and that is all repetitive. So, and when you first do it, it's a little tough to try to build a car in 53 seconds. And after you do it 100 times, 1,000 times, 3 million times, because I think I may have built at least 3 million cars, I could do this stuff with my eyes closed backwards. So I guess there's one.
Mine's got to be fantasy football mock drafts. You don't get a over 60% lifetime winning percentage over almost
Nice.
20 years, over 20 years of fantasy football. Not doing that, boys.
I hear you.
I
See,
thought the obvious answer was chicken McNuggets.
what?
I can destroy a box of chicken McNuggets,
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
that's
and
fair.
fair.
I've done thousands of them over the years.
Impressive.
Hmm.
Also,
What's the best dipping sauce for a McNugget, CC?
barbecue every time. Barbecue, baby.
Barbecue's pretty good. Hot mustard's a long shot though.
Yeah,
Sleeper.
that's a value play. Value play.
Yep.
Yep. If they'll throw one in the bag.
Yep.
And then my next question, he mentioned the C word. I didn't really know what he was talking about. He said consistency. What's your favorite C word?
Oh, probably the general one that the one he was referring to or whatever. I think you probably know. You only use it when it really, really matters, right? You only pull that one out when you really need to hit the bullseye and stuff. But I think it rhymes with bunt.
Well, so CC, he didn't ask what is the C word. He said, "What's your favorite C word?" So
Oh,
I think I'm going with cake.
okay. I might just stick to my original answer. I got
Just
a
sticking
mouth
with
on
it.
me. I got a mouth on me. I just don't let it go on here that much.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to side with Kalo.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, that's a good one.
By the way, Tony Kalo's been mentioned a record 4 times in this broadcast.
I
Hmm.
have a
Congrat.
feeling that the end of that interview is going to be a clip for the next broadcast
Yeah.
I know I already know how your editor mind thinks.
Big
Hmm.
props. Big props to Tony. Last thing, rating party on, I think it's Saturday. I love this Philly. I know Geoff, you know this Philly well. I think you hit a pick 4 or pick 5 at Churchill with this
Brendan
Philly.
Walsh and Ben Curtis, is that the
Uh,
horse I'm thinking of?
Bren-
Is that the
Brendan
one?
Walsh. Let's see if I can find this race. I should be prepared, but I'm not, as usual. Rating party's running at Del Mar in the San Clemente. Yes, he drew the
Ah, okay.
rail. Ben
I
Curtis.
was like,
Ben
I was
Curtis.
thinking Ellis, and I was like, I don't recall.
I can't remember. Was it? I can't remember. Was it Giroux that rode her last? No, it
No,
wasn't Giroux.
that's a horse that
Maybe
won from the 10 hole to beat Brandon and nosed out Brandon. I got a he was the 10 horse at Churchill about the beginning of the meet, and he beat his Walsh, and Walsh beat his other horse with Caffleone. If that's the one horse I'm thinking of, Walsh ran 1-2. I think it was 10-9. Don't hold me
That
to
sounds
that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
like 7-1.
I I love this filly. She was 85 wide on both turns in that race
Uh-huh.
and lost a ton of ground and won easy. I mean, that's the kind of filly. I just think she's going to have a lot of class. I'm telling you what, I cannot wait. I love Del Mar anyway. I love the late pick 4, pick 5 at Del Mar. I like to play those races because they're usually competitive. And this is on Saturday. Big card. They've got the San Diego Handicap with journalism in race 8, and then you've
Okay.
got this wide open San Clemente field of 11. And I'm telling you what, rating party is the one I like. That might
What's
be.
rating party on the morning line? We gonna get some value there?
Let me see. I don't know. I never thought about checking that because I'm not prepared. Like a good journalist,
I was
We're
gonna say
having
you could
a good
convince me
journalist.
to dabble over there. I don't play Del Mar a whole lot, but if there's an opportunity, I'm not one to say no.
Well, speaking of Vic talking about Thorograph, they send out if you sign up, they'll send you 3 races a week,
Hmm.
and this was one of them. I just happened to see it, and I mean her figures line up with the best in the race, and then now she gets the rail. So
Hmm.
okay, they don't have a morning line yet, so I have no
Okay.
idea. I have no idea what's going to happen there. But ground support is in there as well. Ground support making her second start off layoff for Kelsey Danner.
Kelsey Danner,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did run well in the didn't run well in the regret, right? That was the mile and eighth race, but now she turns back to a mile, and she ran her best race in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. I think she was second or third in that race, and now second race off the layoff, she should move forward. So those two, man, I love Rating Party. I think she could be a really nice filly.
We got a cookout over here that night, so I don't know if I could see it. I don't probably get to see much on Saturday and stuff, but I'll try to keep an eye out for that. How about Brendan Walsh overall at Ellis Park? I mean, that guy
Yeah.
has redefined in Fuego. That guy has been just insane, and everything's paying well too, right? Brendan Walsh is.
Yeah.
He always seems like he wins an awful lot more than the percentages say, but he is blowing the doors off of Monelos Park right now.
Yeah, he's rolling. And he and Ben Curtis, when they team up, are winning like I know it's over 50% together on the meet so far. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, Ben's a great turf rider.
Yeah.
Okay, we've talked too much. Let's knock it off for the evening. On behalf of Vic Stauffer, one of the best. On behalf of Alan Schneider, another one of the best.
Oh,
Jeff Riggs, top 6. And me,
I'll take it.
CC Broaddus. CC Broaddus reminding you the gambling money ain't got no home. Good night.